she cheated on me with my dad, then sent the video to my class. My mom completely broke down. I never thought my life would turn into something people whisper about behind their phones. But here we are. And I still don't know how to talk about it without shaking. It started like any normal teenage relationship. Her name was Ellie. We met sophomore year, started dating junior year. She was bright, clever, way too pretty to be with someone like me. At least that's what I thought. But she chose me, or at least pretended to. We were that kind of couple people at school both rooted for and envied. I wasn't the popular guy, but Ellie's presence changed how people looked at me. She brought me into rooms I never had access to before. Parties, conversations, attention. I thought I had finally arrived. My parents were divorced. Classic story. Dad cheated, mom broke. They separated when I was 13. I lived with my mom, saw my dad on weekends. He was the charming, funny one, the kind of man who walks into a room and takes it over without trying. I both admired and resented him. Ellie met him at my 17th birthday party. He showed up late like always, with some expensive cologne and even more expensive words. I introduced them. He kissed her hand. She laughed. I remember that moment too well. At the time, I brushed it off. I told myself, he flirts with everyone. Ellie even joked, "Your dad's got more game than most guys in school." And I laughed with her. That's how naive I was. Over the next few months, things got weird. Ellie started acting distant, shorter texts, less interest in hanging out. I blamed myself, thought maybe I wasn't being a good boyfriend. So I overcompensated. Gifts, love notes, playlists. She said thanks and gave me empty smiles. One weekend, I went to my dad's place like I always did. Ellie said she had family plans. Cool, no problem. I came home Sunday night, and Mom was acting strange. Pale, quiet. She asked if Ellie had been with me that weekend. I said no. She just nodded and said, okay. That was the first red flag I didn't see. A few days later, everything exploded. I was in third period, AP History. My phone buzzed once, then again, then again. Dozens of messages from the class group chat. I ignored them at first, until someone behind me muttered, "Holy shit, is that his girlfriend?" My stomach dropped. I pulled out my phone, opened the group chat. Someone had posted a video. Just a few seconds long, blurry. But what was clear, painfully, unmistakably clear, was the two people in that video. Ellie, my dad, in his bedroom. I froze. My throat closed up. The room around me dimmed. I don't even remember asking the teacher if I could leave. I just ran. I didn't run home. I didn't run anywhere in particular. I just kept walking. I left my phone on silent and shoved it in my pocket. But the vibrations didn't stop. It felt like everyone was watching me, even when no one was around. My ears rang like I'd just heard an explosion. Maybe, in a way, I had. I ended up at a gas station 3 miles from school. I sat behind the building, knees to my chest, trying not to puke. That video. That goddamn video. Who filmed it? How did they get it? Why would they send it to the entire class? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it again. The way she was smiling, the way his arm pulled her in like it was normal. Like it wasn't the most disgusting betrayal I could imagine. I didn't go home until after dark. Mom was pacing in the kitchen when I walked in. She looked like she hadn't blinked all day. Her face was pale, eyes wide. She didn't say a word, just walked up and hugged me, harder than she ever had. I think we stood there for 5 minutes without moving. When she finally pulled away, she just whispered, "I'm so sorry, baby," over and over. I went straight to my room. That night, I didn't eat, didn't sleep, just stared at the ceiling while my phone buzzed non-stop. People from school, strangers. Some texts were sympathetic, but others, some people joked about it, made memes, called it the ultimate family drama. One person even messaged me asking if it was real, like it was some kind of twisted soap opera. I deleted the group chat, blocked numbers. It didn't help. The next day, I didn't go to school. I didn't even get out of bed. Mom called the school and said I was sick. The principal called back, asking to discuss the incident. Incident. That's what they called it. I didn't answer. I couldn't. That night, Mom had a breakdown. I heard it through the walls. The crying, the screaming, things breaking. I ran into the hallway and found her on the floor, holding her head, repeating, "I knew it. I knew it. I knew something was wrong." She told me she had seen signs. Ellie's perfume on my dad's jacket once. A weird charge on his credit card. She confronted him weeks ago. He told her she was insane. She started questioning her own mind. Thought maybe she really was paranoid. She wasn't. She was right. I called 911 when she started talking about ending it. They took her to a facility that night. I had to ride in the back of the ambulance with her, holding her hand, trying to keep her from unraveling completely. I'll never forget the way she looked at me, like she was apologizing for everything, even the things that weren't her fault. I stayed with my aunt after that. She picked me up from the hospital and didn't ask many questions, just handed me a blanket, let me sleep on the couch, and kept the lights dim. I think she understood more than she let on. Ellie tried to call. I didn't answer. My dad texted me paragraphs, half apologies, half excuses. He said it was complicated, that feelings happened. I didn't reply. I couldn't believe that a man could throw away his son's life for a few nights with a girl young enough to be his daughter. The school offered me a private counselor. I declined. I didn't want to talk to anyone associated with that place. I stopped logging into my class portals. I figured I'd finish the semester online, or not at all. I didn't care. I wasn't just grieving a relationship. I was grieving trust, safety, sanity, and worst of all, I was grieving a version of myself that believed something like this couldn't happen to me. Time slowed down after everything collapsed. Days blended into nights. I stayed at my aunt's house for 3 weeks. Barely spoke, barely ate. I just existed. Sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night, thinking it was all a dream. But it wasn't. The texts, the stares, the silence from people who used to smile at me, they were all real. One day, I opened my laptop and saw a message from my best friend, Jamie. He said he'd known something was off for a while, but didn't want to get involved. He said he was sorry. I didn't reply. Another classmate messaged me, "Hey man, you didn't deserve any of that." I didn't reply to them either. No words were enough. The damage was done. The hardest part wasn't even Ellie or my dad. It was my mom. I visited her a week after she was admitted. She looked small, like someone had drained the light from her. But when she saw me, she smiled. It was the softest, saddest smile I've ever seen. She said, "We'll get through this, just not all at once." That stuck with me, not all at once. When she got discharged, we moved to a different city. Quiet, no one knew us. I enrolled in a new school under a different name. They let me finish senior year online with part-time in-person classes. I saw a therapist once a week. I hated it at first. I didn't want to talk. But over time, I started saying small things. I'm angry. I feel numb. I don't trust anyone. That was a start. As for Ellie, she disappeared from social media for a while. then popped back up like nothing happened, posting selfies, quotes about growth. I found out she transferred schools too. Apparently, people started turning on her after the video went viral. Some said she did it for attention. Others just stopped talking to her. I didn't feel vindicated, just empty. My dad tried again to contact me, left voicemails, sent a handwritten letter. I tore it up without reading. Maybe one day I'll want to hear what he has to say. But not now. Not yet. One morning, about 6 months after everything, I woke up and realized I hadn't thought about them for a full hour. That was new. That was progress. I started running again. At first, just to exhaust myself. Then, because it made me feel like I was getting somewhere, even if it was just around the block. I joined a local art club, took photos, drew, wrote. I poured all the mess inside me onto paper. And one day, I wrote this story. Not for revenge, not to shame anyone, but to finally let it out. If you're reading this, and you've been shattered by the people you loved most, I want you to know that healing isn't pretty. It's not some perfect linear journey. It's messy, it's quiet, and most days, it doesn't even feel like progress. But one day, you'll look up and realize that the weight you've been carrying doesn't hurt quite the same. You don't owe forgiveness to anyone who made you bleed for their entertainment. You don't have to carry their guilt. You don't have to pretend it didn't destroy you. It did. But you're still here, and that matters more than anything.